The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was larger than 1,000 cities combined. Its walls were alive with light, shifting with colors from stars gathered across the galaxy. Alien voices filled the air, cold and sharp, rising in anger and pride. One by one, the banners of different species floated high above, glowing like fire against the endless dark. At the center of the hall, a great circle of light burned. It was the place where decisions were made, the place where the fate of entire worlds was sealed. Today, every world had gathered for one reason. The name of that reason was spoken in every corner. Earth, the humans. They were a young race. Too young, the council said. Too dangerous, some whispered. Too stubborn, too wild, too untamed. For decades they had grown fast, building ships that crossed the void, touching stars they had no right to touch. Other species, older and stronger, looked at them with cold eyes and felt fear. Fear is what brings the vote today. The hall grew quiet as the leader of the council raised his hand. His voice was not a voice but a sound carried through every mind, soft as a whisper, heavy as stone. "We gather," he said, "to decide the fate of the human species. They have broken balance. They spread like fire through the stars. If they are not controlled, they will burn us all. Today the vote will be taken. Today we decide if humanity is to be free or if they are to be chained." A deep murmur rolled through the council. Thousands of species sat in their seats of power, creatures with wings like glass, giants made of stone, beings of fire, and shadows that breathed. Every kind of life the galaxy had birthed now lifted its head and gave its judgment. The first hand rose. A voice filled with cold iron spoke, "They must be enslaved." The second hand rose. A voice like a broken storm said, "They must be chained." A third, a fourth, a fifth. The votes came fast, one after another. Every voice called for the same end. The humans must kneel. The humans must serve. The humans must never rise again. Only a few wondered. Only a few asked in silence, well, what if they resist? But fear killed their doubt. No one believed resistance was possible. One by one, the lights above the circle burned brighter. Each light was a vote. Each vote was a sentence. At last the hall shone with full fire. The vote was complete. Every species had agreed. The leader lowered his hand. His words cut through the silence like a blade. So it is decided. Humanity will be enslaved. Their armies will be broken. Their ships will be taken. Their worlds will serve. Earth will bend its knee. The council erupted in thunder. The sound shook the air, a storm of voices celebrating the fall of a species. Some laughed. Some shouted with joy. Some hissed with hunger for what they would take from Earth. But not far away, in the shadows of that great hall, a quiet figure watched. A single messenger, unknown to most, stood still as the decision rang out across the stars. His eyes were sharp, his breath heavy. He turned and walked away, carrying the news that would soon reach Earth. The humans would know. When the messenger's ship left the council's orbit, the galaxy felt certain. The story was written. Humanity was finished. But there was one truth the council had forgotten. Humans had been born on a world of storms, on a land that gave no mercy. They had survived endless winters, burning deserts and seas filled with death. Their history was written in war and hunger and struggle. They had lived through ages of fire, through endless nights, through chains that had broken before. Humanity knew what slavery meant, and humanity had learned. Long ago, never to bow for long. The council did not know it yet. But their vote had lit a fire. In the silence of Earth, in the quiet of human hearts, something ancient was waking. A promise as old as their blood, as sharp as their steel, as endless as their sky. The galaxy had made its choice. Now it was humanity's turn to answer, and that answer would shake the stars. The message reached Earth faster than light could travel, carried by a chain of ships and signals that never rested. It was a short message, but its meaning was heavy enough to crush any world. The words of the Galactic Council were clear. Humanity was now a race of slaves. The news spread across Earth like fire across dry grass. From the frozen poles to the burning deserts, from the crowded cities to the silent mountains, every human heard the same truth. They had been judged. They had been chained not by iron yet, but by the will of the galaxy itself. Other species expected chaos. They expected riots in the streets, tears in the faces of men, shouts of despair from women and children. They expected to hear begging, prayers, and surrender. They expected fear, But Earth was silent. No great crowds gathered in panic. No leaders rushed to kneel. No armies dropped their weapons in despair. Humanity, for the first time in its short life among the stars, gave no answer. The silence was worse than screams. It was colder than rage. It was the silence of thought, the silence of waiting, the silence of something unseen moving in the dark. Alien fleets circled Earth, waiting for the humans to break. But days passed, then weeks. Earth showed no fear. From orbit, the planet looked calm, almost too calm. Lights of cities burned in the night. Factories worked without pause. Ships moved from one station to another. The world kept turning as if nothing had changed, and in that calm, the galaxy began to feel unease. The council sent more messages. "Submit," they said. "Prepare your planet. Deliver your people, kneel." No reply came. A whisper began to move among alien worlds. "Why are the humans quiet?" Some asked. "Why do they not beg? Why do they not fight?" The silence became its own weapon. It spread doubt into the hearts of those who had voted so proudly. On Earth, deep under the mountains, the leaders of humanity gathered in hidden halls. They were not kings, not emperors, not gods. They were men and women tired and scarred, but with eyes that carried the weight of centuries. Maps filled the walls. Lines of light showed fleets, armies, and cities. Around a long table they sat, listening to the silence above them. One of them spoke. His voice was quiet, but every ear bent to hear. "They believe we are broken," he said. "They believe silence means fear. But silence is our shield. Silence is the breath before the storm." Another answered, "They do not understand us. They see only numbers and power. They have never known what we are, and what were they? They were the children of a death world. Their home was not soft. Earth had never been gentle. Storms could rip apart cities. Volcanoes could drown lands in fire. Disease, famine, war, all these had tested them. Humanity had been forged in struggle. And in that endless struggle they had learned one lesson. Never let the enemy see your heart until it is too late. The silence was not surrender. It was planning. The council thought humans were only flesh, soft and weak. They did not see the machines built in secret, the weapons hidden in the black of space, the soldiers who had trained for wars no one had dared to imagine. In orbit, alien fleets grew restless. Captains looked down on the blue planet and felt a strange fear. Some said, "Perhaps we should strike first." Others warned, "Wait, something is wrong." And still Earth was silent. A boy in the streets of an old city whispered to his sister, "Are we slaves now?" She looked at him, her face calm, and answered, "No, we are only waiting." An old man in a quiet village heard the news and smiled. "They have no idea," he said, his voice like broken stone. Children still played. Workers still worked. Soldiers still trained. But under every smile was steel. Under every calm word was fire. Humanity's silence was not weakness. It was the sound of the ground shaking before a volcano wakes. And in the halls of the Galactic Council, fear began to spread. One by one, alien leaders whispered to each other. Why do they not answer? Why do they not kneel? But no one had an answer. The galaxy had cast its judgment. Humanity had given no reply. Yet in that empty space, in that quiet world, something vast was moving. Something old as their blood. Something fierce as their storms. The silence was almost over. The storm was coming. And when it came, no world would be safe. For weeks, the galaxy had waited. Alien fleets hung above Earth like hunters waiting for a wounded beast to fall. But Earth did not fall. It only watched. It only waited. The silence had become too heavy, too long. At last, an impatient commander broke it. His fleet was made of ships older than Earth's history, vast like floating mountains with guns that could melt continents. His orders were simple: enter Earth's orbit, destroy its defenses, and drag humanity into chains. The fleet moved forward. From the surface of Earth, billions lifted their eyes to the sky. They saw shadows fall across the clouds as the alien ships blotted out the sun. Cities darkened under their size. Oceans reflected their massive bodies. The commander sent his message to Earth. His words were full of pride. You have been judged. You are slaves. Bow now or be broken. Still, Earth gave no reply. The silence enraged him. With a wave of his hand, he gave the order. Fire. Blinding beams of light tore through the sky. Oceans boiled. Mountains shook. Entire cities were lit in flames. The fleet roared, drowning the planet in firepower meant to shatter hope. But then, something happened. The smoke cleared, and Earth was still standing. The weapons had struck, but something had stopped them. A shield, invisible until now, wrapped around the planet like a second skin. It was not alien. It was human. The commander froze. "Impossible," he whispered. Then, Earth answered. From hidden stations buried deep in the seas, from mountains hollowed out for war, from the dark side of the moon, weapons came alive. Great cannons rose, glowing with energy no alien had ever seen. And from the skies hidden in shadows, human warships appeared. They were not vast like alien fleets. They were smaller, leaner, built not for pride but for survival. Each ship was a blade, sharp and fast. Their armor was black, their weapons burned white. They moved like predators unleashed after a long hunger. The first strike came from the dark. A human warship slipped past the fleet's shields and fired. One alien cruiser exploded in silence, torn apart before it could even scream. The fleet panicked. Orders screamed across the void, but it was too late. Humanity had spent its silence not in fear but in preparation. Every ship that had been hidden, every weapon that had been forged, now came alive. A second alien ship fell. Then a third. The commander's voice shook as he roared, "Impossible! They are primitives! They cannot." His words ended in fire. His own ship split in two, consumed by a storm of human missiles. From the surface of Earth, the people watched the sky burn. For the first time, their silence broke, not with fear but with cheers. Children pointed to the heavens and shouted. Soldiers raised their fists. The planet roared with one voice, the voice of defiance. In the Galactic Council, reports poured in like screams. The humans are fighting. The fleet is falling. They are not weak. They are not broken. Fear spread faster than light. On alien worlds, leaders stared at the reports in disbelief. This cannot be. This must be a lie. But the truth was written in fire above Earth. Human ships did not retreat. They hunted. Each movement was precise, each strike deadly. They fought not like a new species, but like an ancient predator returned to the stars. The galaxy had called Earth weak. Now they saw the truth. Earth was a death world, and its children were born of struggle. They had survived every chain before, and they would never wear one again. The last ship of the invading fleet tried to escape. Its engines burned, its shields cracked, but a single human vessel followed it into the dark. The alien ship ran, but the human ship was faster. With one final strike, the alien flagship exploded into dust. Silence filled the stars again, but this time it was different. The silence was fear. Across the galaxy, every species that had voted so proudly to enslave humanity now whispered the same words. What have we done? On Earth, the leaders stood together in their hidden halls. The oldest among them spoke. His voice was calm, steady, and final. They thought our silence was weakness. They thought our chains would hold. Now they will see. We will not kneel. We will not serve. And the galaxy will learn the cost of their choice. The first strike had been made. The galaxy trembled, and this was only the beginning. News of the battle above Earth did not move slowly. It tore through the galaxy like lightning across a storm. Within hours, every world knew the truth. The fleet sent to enslave humanity had been destroyed. Not damaged, not beaten back, destroyed. The Galactic Council had thought the battle would be short, a lesson to remind the humans of their place. Instead, it had become a story of terror that no one could stop from spreading. On distant planets, in cities of glass and crystal, in towers of steel and fire, alien leaders listened to the reports. Some shouted in rage, others shook in disbelief, but in every voice one note was clear. Fear. The recordings were impossible to deny. The Council had sent their finest ships. They had sent weapons that had ruled the stars for centuries. Yet humans, a young race, a race born only yesterday in the scale of galactic time, had torn them apart. One report showed a human ship cutting through a cruiser like a blade through cloth. Another showed missiles raining down, glowing like fire, until even the strongest shields failed. And worse than the weapons were the humans themselves. Survivors told of human soldiers boarding ships, fighting with fury that no alien could match. They fought with their hands, with their blood, with a fire in their eyes that made veterans of 100 wars tremble. They do not stop, one survivor whispered, his voice shaking as he spoke before his leaders. You can wound them. You can burn them. But they keep coming. They do not fear death. They are death, the word spread. They clung to the minds of every species that had voted to enslave Earth. Deathworlders. That was the new name the galaxy gave to humans. Not weak, not primitive, not slaves. Deathworlders. In the great hall of the council, silence hung heavy. The same circle of light that had shone bright with every vote now burned with shame. The leader who had once spoken with calm certainty now bent his head. "We have made a mistake," he whispered. But mistakes had costs, and this one could not be undone. While the council argued, the galaxy shook. Small species, those who had always bowed before the powerful, now looked at Earth with wide eyes. Some whispered that humans might be protectors, others feared they would be conquerors. But all agreed on one truth: humanity could not be controlled. Trade ships that once moved freely now hesitated to pass near Earth's space. Fleets that once patrolled the stars now pulled back, afraid of what they might meet. The galaxy had turned its back on Earth, believing it weak. Now it watched, careful and afraid, knowing that Earth was awake. On human worlds beyond Earth, colonists heard the news. Miners on barren moons, farmers on distant planets, soldiers guarding silent stations, all of them stood taller. For the first time, they knew they were not alone. Humanity had shown its strength, and every human heart burned with pride. But pride was not all. In the hidden halls beneath Earth's mountains, the leader spoke again. "They will not stop," one said. "They will send more fleets. They will send greater weapons. They will not forgive us." "Then we do not ask forgiveness," another replied. "Let them come. We have already shown them what we are." Yet even as humanity prepared, a shadow grew across the stars. The galaxy had begun to tremble, yes, but trembling can lead to rage. Species that had lost ships cried out for revenge. Powerful empires, humiliated by defeat, whispered of war. And so the galaxy stood divided. Some wished to crush humanity once and for all. Others wished to hide, to wait, to see if humans would rise higher. But all were afraid. In the quiet corners of alien worlds, children whispered human stories like legends. They fight without fear. They never surrender. They cannot be broken. In taverns, soldiers spoke of humans in hushed voices, as if saying the word too loud would summon them. "Do not fight them," one warned. "If you face them, you will not return." Fear had become humanity's weapon, sharper than any blade, louder than any gun. Back on Earth, the night sky glowed with falling debris from the destroyed fleet. Children pointed at the lights and asked, "Is it over?" Parents gave no answer, because it was not over. It was only beginning. The galaxy trembled, but trembling does not stop war. Trembling only prepares the ground for what comes next, and what came next would decide the fate of every world. The humans were no longer silent. They had spoken with fire and steel. Now the galaxy would listen. The council hall, once filled with pride and certainty, now shook with fear. The great circle of light no longer burned bright. It flickered weak and dim like a dying flame. The leaders of 1,000 species sat in silence, their heads bent low, their voices hushed. The war they had planned was over before it had even begun. The fleets they trusted had been destroyed. The weapons they believed were eternal had been shattered. The species they thought weak now stood tall as giants, humanity. The word itself had changed. Once it meant nothing more than a new race, untested and unimportant. Now it was spoken like thunder, a sound that echoed in every chamber, in every world. To say human was to feel fear. To say Earth was to remember fire. From every corner of the galaxy came the same cry. Some pleaded. Some begged. Some demanded peace before it was too late. Others whispered for forgiveness, though they knew forgiveness might never come. The council sent another message to Earth. This time their words carried no threats. There was no pride in their tone, no chains in their hands. Only fear. "Humanity," they said, "we ask for peace. We ask for your mercy. We will not take your freedom. We will not take your worlds. Forgive us." For 3 days, the galaxy waited for an answer. Whole empires held their breath. Fleets stayed motionless. Armies froze in their barracks. Even the stars seemed to wait. At last, the reply came. The face of a human appeared, broadcast across the galaxy. He was not dressed in gold or crowned with jewels. He wore no armor shining with power. He was a soldier, his face marked by scars, his eyes sharp and cold. His words were simple. You voted to enslave us. You voted to chain us. You called us weak. But we are not weak. We are human. And we do not forgive so easily. The galaxy trembled at his voice. You fear us now. He continued. You should. We are not the children you believed we were. We are the storm. We are the fire. We are the ones who do not kneel. And from this day forward you will remember, humanity bows to no one, the council begged. Some leaders fell to their knees before the broadcast, their voices breaking as they pleaded for mercy. But humanity did not kneel in return. Instead, the human soldier spoke again. His voice was final, heavy as the weight of history. You will not enslave us. You will not chain us. But neither will you forget. Every world, every leader, every species that voted against us will live with the memory of this day. You wanted us to be slaves. Instead, you have made us kings. You wanted us broken. Instead, you have given us power. And if you try again, if you dare raise your hand against us, you will not be spared. You will be ended. The broadcast ended. For a long time, no one in the galaxy spoke. No one dared. The silence stretched from one world to another, until it felt as if the stars themselves held their breath. And then slowly, the truth spread. Humanity had spared them. Humanity had not destroyed their worlds, had not crushed their fleets to dust. Humanity had chosen not extinction but warning. Forgiveness was not given. But extinction was held back. The galaxy bent its head. For the first time in its long history, the Great Council feared not each other, not even the endless dark beyond the stars, but a single world, a single species, a single name, humanity. And on Earth, in the silence of night, people looked to the sky. They saw no fleets, no chains, no enemy shadows, only the stars shining brighter than ever before. Children whispered, "Are we safe now?" Parents held them close and answered, "We are not safe. We are stronger." The galaxy had voted to enslave Earth. Now the galaxy begged for mercy, and humanity had answered.